Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Packaging MEA, I would like to welcome all of you for this flexible packaging webinar series this evening. The topic for today's webinar is the transition from a linear to a circular economy and environmental sustainability. My name is Ben Daniel, and I'm the editor of Packaging MEA magazine. This webinar includes a packaging pack talk panel discussion with our speakers and panelists. This webinar is designed to be interactive, so please feel free to raise your questions. As you can find on the control panel box to the right side, there's a question chat box. You can use that, and as you have questions, please feel free to share your questions, and we'll be glad to answer during the Pack Talk panel discussion Q&A session. So now I'd like to introduce to you our moderator of this webinar, my colleague at Packaging MEA, Vikram Fotedar. He's our technology editor. Vikram is an engineer by qualification. He has done his Polytechnic and baccalaureate in digital electronics and a master's in robotics and controls. He started his journey in the packaging industry as an installation and commissioning engineer for web converting machines and remains very tech savvy and leading a team of highly proficient engineers and process experts with offices in the UAE and India. Vikram has been involved with material testing for the polymer and packaging industry since 2012 and has designed and delivered several test labs to converters. So without much ado, I'd like to hand over to Vikram to take over and take us through this fascinating journey of sustainability and flexible packaging. Over to you, Vikram.
Thank you, Ben. Welcome everybody to the Packaging MEA live webinar on flexible packaging. We've brought the packaging value chain here, brand owners, converters, and key suppliers with the hope to brainstorm and create the roadmap for the transition from linear to circular economy. The flexible packaging industry must adopt and implement responsible substrates, formats, and structures for a more recyclable and sustainable solution. That said, the Middle East and African regional governments are taking strong measures and policies to bring a sustainable solution to this huge challenge. The webinar juxtaposes global technologies and experiences with a regional perspective in encouraging regional brand owners and converters to implement monomaterial-based technology in helping them to be a part of the growing sustainable consumption economy. We are glad to have an exciting lineup of speakers and panelists that comprise policy, technology, converting, and brand owners, giving their insights into this compelling industry necessity. So let's sit back and hear from the experts on their experience and review of flexible packaging towards a circular economy. I would like to start by introducing the first speaker of this evening, Sarah Jackson, who's the Executive Director of Green Ethics. Sarah has worked in various roles for Nestlé SA. For 29 years, she was instrumental in leading and supporting greenfield projects, including establishing manufacturing facilities in new markets, business restructuring, new market entries, and the integration of a major acquisition. On leaving the corporate world in 2019, Sarah established her own consultancy, Green Ethics LLC, and is now managing the Circle Coalition, a public-private partnership focused on developing a closed-loop economic model for recycling post-consumer packaging waste. The Circle Coalition, under the sponsorship of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, comprises multinational and regional brand owners, including Unilever, Nestlé, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola Company, Procter & Gamble, and the Actia Group, as well as the Global Gulf Bottled Water Association. The petrochemical and packaging industry is represented by Dow, BASF, Borouge, and Tetra Pak, as well as the GPCA. In addition, the hospitality and retail sector is represented by Majid Al Futtaim and Emirates Fast Foods. Expertise to the Circle Coalition is provided by the Environmental Agency of Abu Dhabi. So over to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Let me just get my screen. All right, so let's get started. My role here today is to set the scene for this conversation, looking specifically at what are the barriers and enablers to the circular economy for packaging, investigating how public-private partnership can support those initiatives, and then very specifically dealing with what are the policies that government is using to enable the circular economy. So I just need to, if we look at the value chain as a total, you'll see throughout the value chain for waste management, and we're talking specifically about post-consumer packaging here, you can see the different aspects of the value chain, beginning with, first of all, with government regulations, and then moving into the household. So what happens at the household? Here we're talking about the behavior that is needed to ensure that materials are segregated at source, and that the households understand what materials can be recycled, that they understand as well how important the factor of cleaning materials and sorting them in the right way. But then also it's a function of what is the infrastructure available to those households. And in particular here, we look at the ability to put materials into segregated bins. So if households have two bins at their house, that the bin for recycling and a black bin for waste, that they understand which bin is used, and that also those bins are collected separately by the waste environmental service provider. So really important to start off with the right behavior at the point of collection. When you go into the next phase, you're looking at the sorting of materials by the environmental service providers. And here we're talking specifically about the regulation and the contracts with environmental service providers, whether or not there's a material recovery facility in order to sort the materials and to provide them to your recyclers. And okay, so we're talking now about sorting and baling, and here the important thing about the materials, if you go to the next point, Ben, please. The important thing about the materials is that we must be able to provide clean, high quality feedstock to your recyclers. So at the recycler level, what we're talking about, and you'll see that in the deck today and in the presentation from the various experts today, Ben, on the next point, it's about technology, it's about capacity, it's about design for recyclability. And I think that's something that you'll hear a lot. It's not only design for recyclability from a material perspective, but also from a packaging perspective, and specifically looking at monomaterials and their ease of recyclability. If we go to the next point, Ben, on conversion, here we're talking about innovation in design and technology and specific, and we'll hear more about that from the suppliers sitting around the table. In particular, coming back to the brand owners and eventually the demand for recyclate in new packaging, how they generate the entire value chain through this demand and through the use of materials in their packaging. So this is an ecosystem, and as you can see, it all starts out with the government regulation and with enablers, and it's absolutely crucial to keep plastics out of the environment. So if we go to the next slide, please, Ben. You'll see here, this is the landscape. This is what it looks like specifically for the UAE, but I will give you some input on what it looks like for the rest of the GCC as well. First of all, you can see we generate, for a relatively small country, we generate quite a bit of waste. The majority of that will be construction, demolition, industrial waste, but we do have about 6.5 million metric tons, which is municipal solid waste. And about 1 million metric tons of that, around 16% of that municipal solid waste, is plastic materials. And you look in the next box, you'll see there that by far the largest component of that is the LDPE, so including the flexibles, with a much smaller proportion of the high density polyethylenes, the PPs and the PETs. And when we look at where that waste is coming from, you'll see that our per capita per day waste generation is about 68% higher than the global average. So in general, a GCC resident will generate about 1.8 kilos of municipal solid waste per day versus a global average of about 0.74 grams. So in general, we generate a huge amount of waste. And in terms of the plastic component of that, this can differ. So if you look at Bahrain as an example, it's estimated that almost 36% of what goes into municipal solid waste and goes into the landfill is actually plastic. So quite a high generation, a lot of secondary material that is available for recycling and conversion. When we look at the plastics opportunity, today, majority of material goes to landfills. We have about 90% of that material, that 1 million metric tons, is ending up in landfill today. We have, depending on where you're looking, we have a recycling rate that is between 10 and 16%, but on average around 7% of material is actually recycled locally. And that's mainly used for items like soft furnishings, or it might be used for furnishing components, logistical components, so plastic pallets, water racks, crates, etc. And about 3% of that material, so if we're looking at PET specifically, about 30,000 metric tons is actually exported through the plastic scavengers, and it's exported mainly to India and Pakistan, so within the region for processing. Now, obviously, when we look at this kind of a landscape, and it's very similar whether you look at Saudi or Oman or Qatar, it has a very, very similar profile. When you're looking at this type of landscape, optimizing solutions for circularity is definitely something that you do as a public-private partnership. It needs the involvement of all sectors, government, industry, and the civil society. So when we go to the next slide, Ben, you'll see this is one of the public-private partnerships that's been initiated in the UAE under the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. In 2019, the Circle Coalition was set up, and you see the sector partners, so it's cross-industry sectors, including knowledge partners with the Environment Agency in Abu Dhabi, Emirates Nature, and the Gulf Petrochemical and Chemical Association. And they came together to address the diversion of post-consumer packaging from landfill and to develop circularity for post-consumer packaging materials. So going to the next slide, Ben, one of the things that was undertaken was a proof of concept pilot in Abu Dhabi, where material was actually collected from private, so clean segregated material, as well as material from landfill. This was processed through recycling facility in Al Ain. And then through the operation of Industrium, our partners in the study, they actually did a plastic conversion. Using that material, they produced plastic pallets for logistics, water racks, water crates, etc., which were then purchased by the companies that participated in the study and funded the study. So when we look at the core issues, and these are very similar, they'll be very familiar to all the sectors sitting around the table today. The first thing, of course, is insufficient source segregation, and that's not only an infrastructure, it's also a behavior aspect. When we look at households in the UAE, about 15% of households express an interest and are committed to recycling. So they are what we would call eco-warriors. And they are the guys that will go and put their materials into bins. In the height of summer, they'll collect it, put it in the boot of the car and take it off to the different bins and stand and sort it. Many households are really interested in recycling. However, they are unsure and unaware of what to do. And also they need the convenience and the reward factor. The second barrier is inadequate infrastructure, and that might be things like material recovery facilities that are not available. It might be the technology and the capacity of the recyclers. For sure, in terms of conversion, I think most of our converters are able to use recycled material. So it's a question of being able to get them the right feedstock. We also have a lack of domestic demand for recycled content, especially the upcycled high value food grade packaging content. And that is a function also of having the right standards that will allow the use of recyclate in food grade packaging. And then, of course, there is an opportunity loss because you might have the recycling facility, but if you don't have the clean, high quality material or feedstock, and you're having to import your feedstock from overseas, then it is obviously a barrier as well. So Ben, if we go to the next slide, this is very quickly the outcome of the study that was done. We had 35 key recommendations addressing the enablers of the circular economy, and about 16 of those related to policy framework. We had another 7 on infrastructure and process. And I'm happy to say that working together with the Circular Economy Council Policy Committee, we have recently had approved 12 of those 16 recommendations have been approved for policy recommendations for approval by ministerial decree or cabinet approval. And they cover, for instance, the setting up of an extended producer responsibility scheme here in the UAE, the use of recycled content in the consumer goods sector, so that's food grade recyclate, and then things like segregation of source, so mandates for segregation of source, national databases of materials, so you know in terms of investment what the opportunity might be, and then also the resource chain and management of material flows. So those 12 out of those 22 policies that we recently adopted relate to our particular sector. And I think it's fair to say that in Saudi Arabia, we have a similar public-private partnership with the Federation of Saudi Chambers that's now working with the National Center of Waste Management, also to define policies, to conduct pilot schemes on recycling, and to enable the whole circular economy for packaging. So this is really setting the scene. I hope it helps to put into context all of the efforts of the expert panel that's sitting around the table. And that's it from me. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, everybody. And apologies for the for the hitch with the presentation.
Thank you, Sarah, for the peek into the workings of the Circle Coalition and the imminent regulation around extended producer responsibility framework for UAE. The resin suppliers form a vital link in any effort towards circularity. So we now have 2 speakers from Dow who will jointly take us through their roadmap. Margaret Hagen is a marketing manager for Dow's packaging and specialty plastics business based in Dubai, with more than 6 years of experience in the industry, working across the entire value chain to ensure there is a collaboration between Dow and the brand owners to enable each party to meet their sustainability and recyclability goals with Dow's solutions. She'll be joined by Hussein Suleiman, who's in Dow EMEA application development scientist, technology leader with more than 14 years of experience working with different partners across the packaging value chain to develop innovative packaging solutions as part of Dow's unique technical support approach. In addition, Hussein leads the OEM's collaboration network across the region, carrying an enduring passion for packaging business development and sustainability objectives. So over to you all. Margaret, you're muted, so you'll need to unmute yourself.
Moment. Margaret, can you? Is that okay, Margaret? Are you having some issues with your mic? We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you.
So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this exciting webinar this afternoon. So for the next 15-20 minutes, Hussein and myself will take you through, give you an insight into Dow and focus on our design for recyclability offering that is really fit for the region. So next slide, please. Ben, next slide. Perfect. Okay, so before we do that, we'll just take a quick snapshot about Dow and take a look at our sustainability targets as well. So our ambition is really to become the most innovative, customer-centric, inclusive, and more importantly, sustainable material science company. So you see that when we dive into our sustainability and recyclability targets, we've set ambitious 2025 sustainability goals. So we decided to really focus on three main areas, which is enabling a circular economy, protecting the climate, and then working with safer materials. And these three focus areas are really aimed at carbon reduction and eliminating plastic waste. And as we work to really eliminate plastic waste through measures such as diverting material from landfills and other sites, the next step is really to ensure a circular economy for it. So you see that we've also set a target for 2023 to close the loop, and then also for 2050 to really protect the climate. And the next slide, please.
Yes.
Okay. So you see here that the perception of plastics recently, a lot of industries are really shifting from to other alternative materials such as paper and others. So this can really work in other applications, but for flexible plastic, packaging plays a very key role. You know, it has a longer shelf life, smaller carbon footprint, a better shell appeal, amongst many others. So it's really important that we as Dow, we've really committed to close the loop by 2035, which is really enabling 100% of our products which are sold into applications, flexible packaging applications, be either reusable or recyclable. So then what I'll do now is just, we've discussed our sustainability targets, our sustainability goals. We are going to go a little bit further into the different pillars and the strategy that we really have put in place to ensure that these targets are being met. Next slide, please.
Yep.
So you find here our strategy for ensuring that we're able to reach our targets. Previous slide, yeah. So we have here 5 main pillars. The first one is the design for recyclability, which is a real enabler for circularity, not only mechanical recycling, but also for chemical recycling as well. And with that is where I will let Hussein come to really further explain our product offering. The second pillar that we have is mechanical recycling. And what we've done here is to really find partners to incentivize the collection of materials. And once the material is collected, our goal is to work with other partners to convert it mechanically into a recyclate. So the PCR that is produced will be used in non-food applications. For example, we currently have a couple of projects that we're working on in Africa, in West Africa, a couple in South Africa as well. And then the third pillar is advanced recycling. So this is primarily a film that goes through a pyrolysis unit. So which is like an oil production unit. So basically you make out of the packaging oil, and that oil, we clean it up and take it into the cracker to produce new virgin PE out of it, which from a quality perspective is also similar to virgin PE. And the fourth pillar is what we call the bio-based. So in order to really enable the circularity of plastics, it's also important to consider alternative feedstocks, you know, specifically renewable feedstock. So this is where Dow has partnered with a company called UPM, where we use one of their byproducts, which is called tar oil. And this is the byproducts from paper manufacturing that has been converted into naphtha. And you'll be able to feed it into the cracker, and then we get what we call bio-based resins. And with that, there's more than 30% of CO2 savings here. And the last pillar that is put in place as part of our sustainability and recyclability strategy, it's on carbon footprint. So really ensuring that we're able to lower our carbon emissions. And we are doing this through a few projects that we have in Europe, our plants in Europe to help achieve this in Tarragona, and then also in Terneuzen as well. So this is what we have so far in terms of our sustainability targets and goals. one thing that we feel that is very applicable to our region is our design for recyclability portfolio, which is what we term as D4R. And then, I mean, it's something that I think that we can really be applicable for our region, both the Middle East and in Africa as well. So I'm going to hand over to Hussein now, who's going to take us through the technology platforms and the different areas that we can focus on. Hussein, take it up from here.
Thank you very much, Maggie. And honestly, it was really nice to hear you and Sarah trying to emphasize on the fact that the design for recyclability is really a crucial aspect when it comes to the journey of enabling the circularity for flexible packaging. However, at Dow also we do clearly understand very well the technical challenges that come with the work to reduce the packaging structure's complexity. Also the difficulties that can be associated with the attempts to move towards more of a mono-material designs, as Sarah was trying to refer to. In addition, we also understand the brand owners and the consumers' concern when it comes to trying to consider new flexible packaging designs. And for that, we have been working a lot on many different directions, developing several technologies platform in order to make sure that we address the different packaging needs effectively and also maintain the typical functionality and performance for all the new sustainable solutions. Ben, please, if you move to the next slide. Yes. So what you see here is the view of the integrated technologies that we have been working on lately, starting from trying to develop new resins that allow development of all polyethylene films, to offering solutions for the new production technologies, including the new different oriented film processes, and also the work to offer polyethylene-rich thermoforming films to support the polyamide substitution effort driven by some legalizations in certain markets. Also, we have been putting a lot of efforts in order to work with our partners to develop new barrier solutions, develop recycle compatibilization resins in order to allow the ease of recycling for some of the conventional barrier packaging, and even partner with some of the packaging technology owners in order to develop some sort of know-how and process development to allow or even to switch to design or with heavy with rich polyethylene structures. That's all is also enabled with the support of our technology centers. So we have our global network, global back studio networks that allow us to take advantage of advanced film production, testing, and packaging line setups to accelerate the development cycles. Also, we use latest modeling and simulation technologies in a way that helps us to assess the impacts of the design change on the performance and more, and bring also some additional reliability to the new solution that we have been developing with our partners. If we can please move to the next slide. Okay, so the development between the different partners across the value chain is key. I'm referring here to a great success story to develop barrier MDO films with our esteemed partners who are engaged on this webinar. And within this technology, we're actually able to utilize the best brains at each site in order to come up with a solution that is extremely reliable and deliver a remarkable performance. Maybe from our side, we were participating on an attempt to develop latest innovative MDO print solutions that can offer remarkable stiffness, maybe offer some sort of a substitution to the conventional PET films, but on the same time show some sort of a higher thermal resistivity, broad stretching window in order to meet the different MDO stretching requirement, and even offer the expected optics in order to maintain the shelf appeal for the brand owners. In addition, also we were able to develop special solutions for the sealant web in order to make all polyethylene structures that still have a unique toughness-stiffness balance, some sort of ease of formability for the different packaging line requirements, low seal initiation temperatures in order to meet even the most challenging sealing requirements for different products, including also the seal through some sort of contaminations, and also offer a good operating window on different packaging lines. So again, this is a very interesting success story, and again, it's a nice demonstration of the power of the collaboration between the different partners. If we can move again, please, to the next slide. Okay, so actually, we believe that the metallization technology offered by PUFS is also could be a great enabler when we come to rethinking the design of the barrier films. And I think we have been so proud of our two parties collaboration, basically trying to develop and assess the performance of different film solutions, while we also tried from our side to utilize the best and the most recent resins technologies in order to offer a remarkable thermal resistivity, good elongation control during the metallization process, and also an improved metal particle adhesion to the polyethylene. I think we came up with a lot of different solutions that meet different needs with the use of our polyethylene resins. And also we were able to cover a wide range of different barrier requirements between medium barrier and high barrier within different structures. And definitely I'm expecting that we will hear more as well about from our partners here from PUB's team about what we were able to deliver together. Maybe if we can move further, please. So again, there will be no, we don't expect that we will see one solution that fits all the needs today in the market. That's why we have also been putting a lot of efforts working with different orientation films technologies in order to take the current polyethylene solutions to the next level. So definitely the MDO today is the technology that has high attraction, okay, mainly due to the ease of the investment and overall also the potential that this technology can deliver. And I think we were able with the material science that we have been putting on the table. Okay, sorry, if you can go back, yeah, no problem. So we were able to develop solutions for different MDO setups, whether for the production of blocked films, for non-blocked films, also different solutions and a wide range of products portfolio for the blown film MDO requirements and also for the cast MDO. But very also recently, I think we have been taking our solution design for the sealable MDO films to the next level, and I believe very soon that you will start to hear a lot from the market for our latest resins introduced in order to produce sealable MDO. But again, we also need to understand that certain requirements might require different way of thinking and maybe different technologies. So on the other hand, we have been also working a lot with our partners in order to develop polyethylene-rich solutions for the bi-oriented polyethylene films, basically for application that really requires a much higher or much challenging toughness-stiffness balance for the pouches. Additionally, also we have been working mainly with our partner in Europe, Kone, on the development of the triple bubble technology, which is basically was focused in so many years on the production of shrink films. Now I think we had some success stories even since the last K on the development of non-shrink stable polyethylene-rich films that's produced with a very thin barrier films in order to meet the recyclability definition and the recyclability requirements. So again, we try to diversify our efforts. We try to put the right focus and again the best utilization of the material science in order to make sure that we also support our partner take the best advantage out of the latest processing technologies. So if we can please move to the next slide. Additionally, it was we felt like it's also important to emphasize on the power of our compatibilizers portfolio. So within our compatibilizer products portfolio, we have always been able to help our partners come up with some sort of a different solutions in order to enable recyclability of the high barrier structures. In fact, our collaboration with different partners in certain market, including colleagues, including a very famous brand owner and a converter, allowed us to develop a solution that's fully recyclable with the use of our retained resin, which is basically the idea about the compatibilizer in this case was to add it to the original barrier film structure in order to make the final film ready to be recycled within the conventional olefin recycle streams and without the interruption of the quality of the recycle process or even the quality of the final recycled material use. Now, definitely, when we consider something that like the compatibilizers, we always have the flexibility to consider adding compatibilizers to the original films, or even during the recycling process, or even or at a later stage when we are using barrier-rich recycled material granules during the extrusion process. So that's also introduced a completely interesting aspects to the total solution that we can think of when we talk about enabling recyclability. So if we can move to the last slide, please. So finally, I think it's very, very difficult to cover all the details the different solutions we have been working on. And what we have been introducing under the umbrella of design for recyclability could be extremely intense when it comes to the technical details. So please, for all the people who are engaged in this call, please feel free to reach out to your local DAO contacts or even to the team who is engaged in this webinar if you are interested to understand more about your points of interest. But on a summary, I think we all should keep our belief in the value of the flexible packaging. Okay, today it has been a proven mean of packaging that basically helped to preserve the food resources and also was always an efficient way of packaging. Was also it has been always coming with a lower carbon dioxide footprint. However, the future for the sustainable packaging is also clear. We from our side have been working in order to increase the value proposition of design for recyclability, focusing more on increasing the work on the monomaterial design, trying to reduce the complexity of certain laminated structures, introduce also new resins and new material science in order to enable packaging circularity, while maintaining and making sure that we don't jeopardize by any means the functionality and the performance of the current products on the market. Definitely, we are 100% aware of the value and the fact that the new film manufacturing and new processing technologies can serve as real enablers in this journey. We do understand what the orientation films technologies bring to the table. Also, technologies like what POPST is introducing for the barrier film for the barrier incorporation. Those are really very strong enablers available today in the market. However, from our side, we are trying to incorporate also our high performance resins, our material science, and in some cases also the science and the know-how behind the compatibilization solutions in order to make sure that we close the loop well. We have a lot of concrete examples that found its way in different markets to the shelves. We have a lot of stories that we believe that we couldn't cover on a tight time frame here, but please again reach out in order to understand more about what we have been introducing for technologies like the water quench, our polyethylene extrusion technologies, and even the collaboration that we had in order to facilitate and make it easy to produce polyethylene rich pouches with ease of spout insertion. What you should expect next is basically more focus on an application specific optimization, more efforts driven to target the most challenging needs today in the market, and also more support in order to accelerate the design for recyclability promotion activities, and also increase the market adoption and increase also the trust of the brand owners and the consumers in the most sustainable solutions. So that's it from our side. Okay, thank you very much, Ben.
So thank you very much, Hussein and Margaret, for taking us through all of the solutions from Dow. Now, developments on extrusion technology need to work in lockstep with the developments in resins. So up next is the Hosokawa Alpine team, who will bring us to speed on the mysticism around the MDO format. So we have two speakers from Hosokawa, Konstantin Klein, who's a master's in plastics technology. He's worked with Hosokawa Alpine for the last 8 years and is a team manager responsible for sales in the CIS, Middle East, Balkans, and Turkey. And we also have Florian von der Heijden, who is a master's professional of technology management. He has worked in Hosokawa for 2 years and as a sales manager for Africa, India, and Pakistan. So over to you all.
Florian, are you getting the invite? Could you present?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
okay, great. Great.
Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, we can.
All right.
So hi everybody. Today we've learned in the further discussion, then it's not only the material and the resins, also the processing is very important. And for this reason, I'd like to introduce our MDO technology from Hosokawa Alpine. Sorry, this is too far. Okay. I want to start with a few words about our company. The company was founded 1898 in Augsburg. We have 7 subsidiaries worldwide. At our company, working around 820 people at the moment. And the company, former known only as Alpine, was taken over in the year 1987 from a Hosokawa company from Japan. So that's where the name Hosokawa Alpine comes from. We have a strong international orientation with around 80% export quota, and the revenue for our last fiscal year was 265 million, split it up in 2 divisions, the powder and particle processing division, it's around 60% of the revenue, and also the film extrusion division with 40% share. That's the 2 divisions. One is the powder and particle processing, and what we are talking about today is the blown film extrusion division. We sold over 3,000 machines worldwide. We have 70 years experience, and most important, we are the market leader for MDO technology and blown film. This is our company in Augsburg, the south of Germany. Yeah, to create sustainable solutions, especially for flexible packaging, it's mandatory to have the technology for this. We have our MDO technology. What I want to tell you something about. We have a very long experience with MDO technology so far. We started in 1997 with our first MDO system, and today we have our MDO 04V+. This is what I will tell you later a little bit more in detail, what V+ means. So, yeah, what does an MDO do? It will enhance the mechanical properties of the film, like the tensile strength, the optical properties, like the clarity, and most important, maybe for this to create sustainable packaging, the barrier properties. This will help you in general to create unique film properties for packaging, for sustainable packaging solutions. This is how our MDO system will work. Here you can see the red marked rollers, the 4 rollers on the top of the machine. These are the heating rollers. The 2 smaller rollers in the middle, these are the stretching rollers. This is where the stretching process is happening. And then you have 2 annealing rollers and also 2 cooling rollers. Also available is a 12 roller system or an 8 roller system, but 8 roller system is mainly for breathable film. What happens when you stretch the film? This will enhance the film properties many good ways, but there's also 2 negative effects they will happen. If you, like you can see here, if you stretch the film tends to neck in, and on the side view you see there's a build-up at the edges of the film. This should be prevented because This will lead to more waste and not good flatness. But Alpine found 3 solutions for this. The first solution is our trio system. This helps you to reduce the trim reduction and gives you optimized flatness for your film. And the second one is the Alpine vacuum technology. This is also what is meant with V+ in our MDO. And we have the flexible gap. First, we will start with the trio system. How the trio system will work. You can see here the blown film line, and down here is a sensor, measures the film flatness and gives a feedback to the process control. This creates a very flat film, and also, in addition, where later the edges of the film will be on the winder, there will be created 2 atypical thin spots here in the cooling ring. This means this is mandatory to prevent the buildup at the edges later during the stretching process. This means the film is made on the bubble, at the film bubble, in these artificial areas is made a little bit thinner. Then that helps to prevent the buildup, because there's less material in this area, and the buildup will still happen, but will be compensated because of the thinner areas. This is how a typical MDO film profile would look like without trio system. It's like a banana-shaped profile, and you can see this is what the build-up will produce here at the edges. This will lead to a very, very big trim wastage. If we use our trio system, then you have a flat and even film profile with less trim wastage. The second thing is our vacuum technology. That means that the second stretching roller is a microporous roller where a strong vacuum is applied. This leads to the film will be sucked very tight on the roller, and the film is the necking is prevented. This will also help to create a better film flatness and also to prevent web breaks during the stretching process. Yeah, so preventing the neck-in will lead to a lower trim wastage. The vacuum roller will help you to get the best roll cylindricity and the maximum process stability because of the prevention of the web breaks. And this will lead to the best flatness. What is very important for the converting of the film. For example, like we've heard before, for metallizing. This will lead to outstanding converting properties and is mandatory to produce a sustainable packaging solution. So the third thing is our flexible gap. The gap is between the 2 stretching rollers. It's adjustable in several steps, 4 steps, and it's adjustable during operation. This is like a typical MDO roll looks like. You can see a good roll cylindricity, perfect flat film. 2 ways for inline production are possible. The first way, the blocked film production. This leads to a high film thickness, and only symmetrical film could be produced. The second way is the double flat film production. This for sure is more cost efficient, and it's also possible to produce asymmetrical film structures. And for sure, as you may know by yourself, the film should be thinner. And this is also an advantage of the double flat for sure, because with a blocked film structure, you will always have a thicker film. Our MDO is available in several wavelets between 1.6 and 3 meter. The film speed inlet could be up to 130 meter per minute. The outlet could be up to 300 meter per minute. The stretching ratio mechanically is possible 1 to 10, but for PE films, we say in general 1 to 5 is the most common stretching ratio. The rollers can be controlled asynchronous for highest speed accuracy, and the MDO rollers are chromed double jacket rolls with spiral grooves for the best temperature homogeneity. And the individual heating of the rollers is possible of each roller, or it's standard. You can choose between water or oil. This is like an installation could look like of an MDO system. Here you can see the blown film line on the right side. Then there is a secondary nip for the MDO. The film goes through the MDO on the third nip and on the winders. Also possible is to bypass the MDO, just bypass the second nip and go directly to the third nip, direct to the winders. So you can produce MDO films and also lamination films with the same line. Or even if you have some downtime with our line, maybe for maintenance or something like this, you can use it, use only the MDO to do some trials. Also possible is the installation of the MDO at the first floor. And this leads to a slightly different to a slightly different installation, but it's quite similar. This is maybe recommended if you don't have that much floor space or any other reasons. Why choose a Hosokawa Alpine? We have the longest experience for MDO technology. We have our unique trio system, our vacuum technology for best MDO quality. We have more than 100 lines installed, more than 100 MDO lines installed worldwide. We have a very high level of knowledge, and we have a very good customer support also for beginners in the MDO process. MDO creates superior film quality for outstanding processability, for the optimal flatness and no hanging edges and bagginess, what is mandatory for good converting. So that's from my side. Later, my colleague Konstantin will answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian, for taking us through how the MDO films are made and what are the special features which allow you to produce better quality MDO material. Now we move on to Bobst, which will share with us on the process of barrier enhancement, printing, coating, and lamination, which transforms the extruded monomaterial films into vibrant branded materials. With their unique product mix, they are in the ideal position to assist us in delivering monomaterial laminates of the future, which, whilst closing the loop, make transitions to the new age structures a seamless experience for all. So I'd like to introduce the speakers. We have Eric Pabon. Eric is the Regional Business Director for Africa, Middle East, Turkey, and the Caucasus of the business unit Printing and Converting at BOPST. He's responsible for BOPST business development of a large and high growth potential region, with demand for packaging growing across the region, combined with factors such as rising costs for labor and raw materials. Eric is demonstrating how BOPST solutions can fulfill the ever-growing need for greater efficiency and reliability, combined with high quality and sustainability. Eric started his career in BOPST in 1990 and held various senior managerial positions, including Gravure Product Line Manager and Gravure Customer Services Manager for BOPST North America and Business Director of Business Unit WebFed, before being appointed in his current role in 2021 as the Business Development Director of the Business Unit WebFed. He was responsible for developing the overall business in the flexible materials industry and for gaining market share through the development of global new market opportunities and strategic partnerships worldwide. He holds a master's degree in enterprise studies from IMD Switzerland and has successfully completed the Management Executive Education program at INSEAD Business School in France. In his spare time, Eric enjoys skiing in the Swiss Alps, playing tennis and golf, and spending time with his family. I would also like to introduce Nick Copeland, who will be joining Eric in this presentation. Nick is currently the R&D Director at BOPST Manchester, with over 25 years of experience in the flexible packaging industry with focused expertise on barrier technology and vacuum coating technology. During his 25-year career with BOPST Manchester, he has held many positions in product management, process management, as well as engineering management before investing the last 12 years in process R&D, where he worked on a variety of standard and special vacuum roll coating projects for packaging applications. Nick holds several patents involving vacuum technology and is a regular industry speaker on the subject of barrier technology and vacuum coating. Over the last few years, the topic of sustainability has really transformed the flex pack industry, and Nick's high barrier packaging developments have been really aligned to this transformation, where he has had the opportunity to work on a number of key projects for large global brand owners and converters, which has enabled him to obtain a unique overview of the future trends of sustainable flexible packaging. Over to you, Eric and Nick.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Vikram, for inviting us. I'm traveling, so here, if maybe Ben or Nick, you can share the BOPST presentation, would be fine.
Ben, you're muted.
You're on mute, Ben.
Nick, you want to share the presentation, or you want us to play from our side?
If you could play, Ben, that would be great.
All right.
Super. So thank you, Ben. Thank you, Vikram, to invite us. I would like to take only 5 minutes of your time and then leave maximum space to Nick, because we have a lot of good things to share with you guys. What I would like to share with you that we have been starting this journey, I think 3-4 years ago, Nick, when we have the chance at BOPST to be highly exposed to the brand owners around the world. And it was clear 3-4 years ago, the needs of coming with industrial solution was very high. So literally we have been able to understand these needs and also to gather the power of brand owners R&D in the game. We have also motivated the key player in the industry to join us because as Bob's, we are leader in machinery for packaging, in corrugated, folding carton, flexible packaging and labels. But alone, it's impossible. It's impossible to change the industry. We have part of the solutions, but with our ecosystem, and hopefully we will see our slides. I don't know, Ben. You're on mute.
And you're on mute.
1 second, Eric. I think it's already played here. One moment, just hold on for a second, please. Why it's not?
Yeah. So we have been able to put all these forces in the game, and this is a game changer. We need to change the industry from what has been done the last 20-30 years in laminates and flexible packaging solution to protect the food. So here I think we are very proud to be some years later and to tell the industry, to tell the consumers, to tell the world that now the industry is ready and come with industrial solutions which are recyclable or biodegradables or even alternative to plastic, to fiber solutions. So maybe if you go, Ben, next slide. So as you can see, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, sustainability and was really a marketing tool, but now it's clear. It's the energy is here, driven by brand owners, but also from us as consumers, and also now reaching the government. And we need to find solutions and to quickly. So our duty as key players in the industrial arena is to come with solutions. Not easy to come in few years to replace a solution in place it's 20, 30 years ago. But what is good, that a lot of energy, a lot of money is floated and will help to really change the packaging industry, flexible packaging industry in a sustainable one. Yes, Ben. Slide, please. So what we have been focusing ourselves as Bobs, and you will see with Nick, we identified clearly since the beginning that we had the barrier solution, and we are now able to offer solution for high or ultra high barrier for full PE or full PP monomaterial laminates. It took us many years, us and all our ecosystem, and also we have been working in parallel on fiber paper solutions for food application, high barrier. You will see it's amazing, as well as on different approach like RPP or even home compostable PLA, and so on and so on. Every month, every 3 months, there are requests for highly innovative solution, either recyclable or compostable or biodegradable. Yes, Ben, next please. And the collaboration, as I said, is key, because from Bob's our strength is really the recyclable barrier. You will hear from Nick. And the additional added value you need to bring on the laminates, like pre-coating, top coating, you need to laminate. Lamination now need to bring also additional barrier to reach the level of high barrier or ultra barrier we need. And also the print need to bring the sustainability we are looking for example, water-based printing, for highly optimized processes like extended color gamut. So here, what is really key is to find when you change into this kind of solutions, you need to find collaborations, partners like Bob's and the ecosystem, because you save years of R&D. Everyone can work on it, but it takes years to develop this kind of solution that Nick is going to present. And this is the contribution of a key industry player like us to this process. Next one, Ben, please. So here you see some of the key partners we have been working with, starting with the raw material. Clearly, you need for this new structured raw material, new solution, new polymers, new recipes. And this is why on PE, we have been working with Dow since the beginning. It's very complex. And then we are working also on other polymer base, but then we need to make the film. And the film require recipes, require R&D to search for the right mechanical properties, the right physical properties, how to stick with the metallization, etc. So partner like Alpine, Ozokawa, and MDO, or Bruckner, on the coax, the stretch film, etc., and the chemicals also, and the converters, the big converters, medium, big converters. They understood that they can enter in the specialty engineering film, high barrier, going blown film, PE, going cast. With our equipment and our recipe, they can really start to engineer high barrier film monomaterial on their own. And this is really a game changer, and we see already the big players producing this kind of film in the market, as well as the chemicals, inks, adhesives, etc. And you see, it's big. And here our names are missing, like Utamaki. We have been working for years now, and you will see from Utamaki real innovative solution matching the sustainability solution we are looking for. You will see also from Mick and here, yeah, also a name missing, Nick, and there are every month there are new names, but this is the beauty of the concept that alone it's difficult to succeed in such a game changer in the industry. Next slide, Ben. So that's it for me. I will pass the word to Nick. We'll enter really in technical solution, industrial solution available. And you will see with new partner on regular basis, we are coming also with new ideas, and it's a long journey. It will take another years in front of us, but all together we will succeed. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Vikram. And Nick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. And then just to continue the Bob's presentation, we'd like to present in a little bit more detail one of our latest sustainability innovations, which we call Bob's One Barrier Prime Cycle. And this was the development of a high barrier PE-based packaging solution via collaborative co-creation. And we did that together with our supporting ecosystem of partners, including both Dow and Hosokawa Alpine, who are both participating at the webinar today. And the main concept behind this 3-year development program was really to maximize the amount of polyethylene in a high barrier packaging structure to really support recyclability. Thank you, Ben. Next slide. So what created the motivation for developing sustainable packaging solutions at Bob's? Well, by far the most significant and current market trend and change in our flexible packaging industry is the topic of sustainability. And stakeholders throughout the value chain are really setting ambitious sustainability pledges and commitments, which have really started to impact the general packaging, but also the flexible packaging industry. And in summary, the pledges and commitments are all to work towards using 100% reusable, recyclable, or compostable packaging. And timelines vary, but in the main, most of the timelines given are for solutions to be ready by 2025 or earlier. And as a global machinery manufacturer for flexible packaging, this is having a significant impact on our business as the materials, the behaviors of the materials from a processability and a performance perspective are quite different. And we need to develop new solutions to support the sustainability pledges. Next slide. So when looking at the global market trends and the current developments for sustainable flexible packaging, you can generally group the trends into what we call the 3 pillars of sustainability. Namely, the first one is monomaterial, which is polymer-based solutions, where the main market driver is to use polyolefin, polyprop, or PE solutions based on a single polymer family to enable improved recyclability. The second pillar of sustainability is what we call compostable, biodegradable, or bio-based solutions, where again, the real trend or ambition in the market is to find home compostable solutions to avoid the need for consumer collection and sorting, or marine degradable to prevent ocean plastic pollution. And finally, the third pillar is based again on monomaterial, but this time is based on fiber or paper-based flexible packaging structures. And this is again is to really enable recyclability. The largest market volume for flexible packaging will be based on monomaterial, polymer-based recyclable structures. And currently, polyethylene seems to be the preferred material of choice as the collection, sorting, and recycling infrastructure is more developed. Next slide, Ben. In terms of the barrier requirement, for higher barrier applications, the market requirement generally falls into 2 main barrier levels. The first one is what we call metallized polyester replacement, where the market requirement is to achieve an oxygen and a water permeation rate of less than 1 cubic centimeter per meter squared per day and 1 gram per meter squared per day, respectively. And then we've got a second target, which is what we call ultra high barrier, which is to replace aluminium foil for flexible packaging, where the requirement is to achieve an oxygen and water permeation rate of less than 0.1 and 0.1 respectively. Next slide, Ben. So with these market trends and the performance requirements in terms of barrier, this was really the foundation for developing our one barrier PE solution. The image on the left illustrates the structure of the one barrier prime cycle solution, along with the machines that have been used to optimize the associated production steps. We start with wet coating that we apply onto the MDO-PE, and this was applied on our Vision D850 platform. From that, we then moved to vacuum technology, where we applied the vacuum technology or the vacuum coating layers on the Expert K5 metallizer. And finally, we conducted lamination on the Nova SX550 laminator, where solventless lamination was selected to reduce any additional thermal impact on the polyethylene-based structure. So let's have a look now at the challenges we faced when developing the one barrier solution through the different process steps. Next slide, Ben. We start first with a primer coating that we apply onto the MDO-PE based film. Firstly, we have a challenge with surface polarity based upon the non-polar nature of the MDO-PE. We need to make sure the primer adheres very well to the film surface, which was achieved via optimized treatment on the film line, on the coating line, prior to apply the primer coating. The next challenge then was about the primer chemistry. We had to test several different primer chemistries to achieve the best surface chemistry and polarity that gave us a favorable surface for good, what we call nucleation and growth of the subsequent vacuum deposited layer. The next challenge then was application technology. Once we've identified the optimum primer type and the chemistry, we needed to apply these to achieve a good coating laydown with a uniform and closed layer. And finally, for web handling, although the mechanical properties are improved with MDO technology, web handling is still important with regards to tension settings and also the drying profile on the coating line. Next slide, Ben. We then move on to the metallization step of the structure. And typically, metallization on PE-based substrate is normally very challenging, as they're typically heat sensitive, they're extensible, and they're non-polar in nature. Now, MDO technology and primer application have certainly helped to improve some of the issues and the limitations related to the extensibility and the surface polarity of the PE substrate. However, we still have some challenges to process the primer-coated MDO-PE in a metallizer, and we needed to develop solutions to overcome these challenges. So the solutions we developed were based upon heat load management, web handling and tension control, and also inline vacuum plasma treatment, also to prepare the film before vacuum metallization inside the vacuum coater. Next slide, Ben. So with that, let's now have a look at the performance, the full performance of the one barrier duplex solution. If we start with the transparent alloy structure and we look at the performance through all conversion steps, we start with the MDO-PE film that has an oxygen barrier of around 4,100 centimeters cubed per meter squared per day and a water barrier of 6 grams per meter squared per day. With the application of the primer, very thin primer, we can enhance the OTR to a level of around 12 cc's with no real improvement on WVTR. We then add the transparent allox barrier layer, which further enhances the OTR to a level of about 0.4 cc's and the water barrier to around 2.2. And finally, with the aid of a barrier adhesive and the lamination to a 75 micron special sealant web, we have an OTR of around 0.2 and a water barrier of 0.5 is what we achieved. We have additionally assessed the laminate bond strength of this duplex lamina, and we found an average bond strength of around about 3.4 newtons per 15 millimeter. So in summary, we can conclude that our transparent one barrier MDO-PE structure, we've obtained barrier performance equivalent to metallized polyester film, and we also satisfy the market requirement in terms of laminate bond strength. Next slide, Ben. If we now take a look at the opaque, shiny Alubond metallized solution, and again, we look at the performance through all conversion steps. We have the same base film, but in this case, we use a different metal receptive primer for the Alubond. And with the primer, we can enhance the OTR to around 5 cc's, again, with no improvement in WVTR. With opaque Alubond metallization, we can enhance the OTR to a level of about 0.7 cc's and the water barrier to 0.1 grams. And finally, with the same barrier adhesive and lamination to a very special 75 micron sealant web, we take the OTR to levels below 0.1 and the water to levels below 0.1, with a laminate bond strength of around about 3.6 newtons per 15 millimeter. So in summary, again, we can conclude with our opaque metallized one barrier MDOPE structure, we've obtained a barrier performance equivalent to aluminium foil, and we also satisfy the market requirements for the laminate bond strength. Next slide, Ben. So just to help the potential recyclability, or help to illustrate the potential recyclability of the solution, via the amount of monomaterial in the one barrier structure, in this case, we've used a 25 micron MDOP film, and the sealant web is based upon a 75 micron PE sealant web. And if we use the mass balance of the polyethylene, we have a monomaterial weight percent of around 98% in the case of the non-printed structure, or 93% in the case of the surface printed solution. So in both cases, we are greater than the 90% C-Flex guidelines, even for this relatively thin duplex structure. And we're proud to say as well, we've obtained this recyclability certification via the Institute of Cyclos HTP in Germany, where we obtained for the non-printed one barrier prime cycle solution, together with the Alox transparent vacuum layer, we achieved a recyclability level of 98%, which is one of the highest in the market for a high barrier structure. Next slide, Ben. So just to conclude the presentation, I would like to summarize the main advantages behind the one barrier prime cycle full PE solution. In summary, it's a standardized high barrier solution with an extremely high percentage of polyethylene. It can be used as a pre-made high barrier laminate structure, which can then be last minute tailored with the relevant surface print technology. This gives flexibility regarding the print technology to be used, so we can think about long run gravure, medium run flexor, or very short tailored run digital print. And by removing the ink layer from the embedded structure, it's also helped Bobst and our partners to really maximize the barrier performance of the packaging structure. And additionally, any limitation on laminate bond strength related to the embedded ink layer has now been removed, so we can get higher laminate bond strengths, which is key for these sustainable solutions. And with this, it concludes our presentation. On behalf of Eric and myself, I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you,
Nick, as usual.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Eric. So after this thorough technology review that we've had, we would like to now look at success stories from the region on sustainability, along with perspectives from a regional brand owner and a converter. We have amongst us a very well-known figure, Kunain Shahidi from Almarai. He's a strategic thinker with over 20 years of experience in packaging development and procurement. He holds a postgraduate in packaging technology from the Indian Institute of Packaging, India. His additional achievements include recognition by the Institute of Packaging Professionals, IOPP, as a certified packaging professional from USA and Associate Institute of Packaging by Institute of Packaging, UK. Kunain is currently employed with Almarai Company as a senior manager based in Sharjah, UAE. Besides Kunen, we're also going to have Dharmesh Zaveri, who is a General Manager of Flexible Packaging and Cartons for Hotpack Global and is based out of UAE. Dharmesh has been in this industry for over 2 decades, and he is also leading the sustainability agenda for the company. So yes, with this, I would like to ask Kunen to start. Kunen, are you there?
Thanks, Vikram. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, loud and clear.
Very good, very good. And very good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, guys. And from whatsoever parts of the world you are joining this webinar. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed the presentations. My gratitude to everyone. So what I want to share, Vikram, Ben and all, is from Almarai perspective, to reduce our impact on environment and ensure that we are providing the service that our customer deserves for all the fresh food products. Our management is committed to reduce the impact of our packaging as part of our doing better everyday strategy. So we have that strategy well defined by our management, better every day. So whenever we come to office, we keep on looking what else is possible so that through packaging, we create something good for the environment. And very clear instructions are given to focus on innovation, packaging innovation, as the key method for reducing potential packaging waste. And we are very much concerned of using only the essential materials needed to protect, preserve, and promote our products. And we are aiming to strike a balance between finding packaging solutions, wonderful examples I saw in this webinar today, so that we reduce our impact without compromising on the freshness of the product, the taste and the quality whatsoever we offer to our consumers. And we believe that by using innovative designs, innovative packaging formats, the new films, new materials, and new technologies, we can not only reduce the number of materials entering into the waste stream, but also contribute to the greater supply chain efficiency. Now, I'm being part of procurement, so we are very much concerned about the supply chain efficiency as well. So we are very actively seeking to reduce our overall packaging consumption, and with focus on paper and plastics. Plastics definitely play a major role, and our management has set a very ambitious goal of preventing almost 10,000 metric tons of plastic waste entering the waste stream by 2025. And this goal, we have already achieved a certain target, but overall it will be achieved through the replacement of certain materials or upgrading and innovation of new techniques, new films, new technologies, etc. And I must take this opportunity to proudly inform you that almost 5,600 metric ton of packaging reduction we have already done since 2019, and also almost 3,800 metric ton of total plastic packaging reduction has been done since 2019. So we are in the process, and the main focus which we start with our innovation in the packaging stream to reduce the impact on the environment is through a specification optimization, and then of course the downgrading of the material, etc. Also we look into whether we are having the over specification of certain material or not. So just to give an example, one of the success story, we have certain bakery products. You might have used the croissant and the puffs. So we had a typical structure of 18 transparent BOPP and 18 metallized BOPP laminated together. And we thought of why can't we do some innovation in this structure without impacting the overall performance of the film. So we had a discussion, and luckily our product scientists, they did some recipe change as well, and we replaced this structure by making it transparent. So we completely removed the metallization. So instead of metallized BOPP, we use transparent BOPP. And also in this process, we made the product visible to the consumer, because the pack format became transparent, so consumer can see the product, the freshness. This is the nature. And also, in addition to that, our consumers, they got the opportunity to make this product bit warm through microwave. So we converted this packaging into the microwavable packaging. So we eliminated the metallization. So we made it recyclable. We made the product transparent for the consumers to enjoy and have the proper indulgence. And also we made it mono-material and ultimately become recyclable. So just to give an example, our approach is something to shift from complex laminate with different polymers to monomaterials. And I'm very happy to see the offer what you guys are presenting today is MDOP. I personally believe that it has all the potential to replace the complex structure like PET, maybe, I believe, so that ultimately we can use the mono material, because that becomes ultimately the recyclable. So looking forward to use this technology, and very much aligned, because we believe in the innovation, and definitely ready to support the converters from whosoever currently we buy, and we will encourage to come up with these kind of new technologies, so that together we do help our environment to preserve all such natural resources. And the plastic, as we all know, is so important. So thank you so much, Vikram, and back to you.
Thanks, Kunen. I would like to now invite Dharmesh to share his views on recent interactions on recyclable flexible packaging.
Yeah, thank you, Vikram. As you can actually hear, I've been just struggling since the morning to actually speak. But whatever I could manage, I will just try to speak about what we have been doing as HotPack. So just for people to understand, HotPack is a very large local group here, and we are into basically flexible packaging, as well as we distribute our products to QSR chains as well. Plus, we have an advantage of having our own stores across the GCC region. So basically, we sell our products through our own retail outlets. So it is slightly more easier compared to the other converters who are mainly into the B2B kind of a scenario. So here, what we have done, before I come to there are two parts to this particular developments that we are doing on the sustainability side. So one is basically the MDO-PEP specifications. These are mainly for the pouches, and what we have in our flexible packaging unit is flexo printing as well as gravure printing. So we try to run these materials in both these printing processes. We did the lacquering also on the surface to give a certain amount of matte finishes. And then we try to convert it into pouches, basically the flat bottom pouches for so I say pet food applications which are beyond 5 kgs and above as far as the weight is concerned. So that has been successfully implemented across. Secondly, we also did for our own stores the stand-up pouches, which are basically having a paper look, having a window, and it is a monomaterial, which is a PE-based material. On the barrier side, I'm quite interested to. I mean, it was quite interesting to hear from the other panelists here. On the specifications and the barrier properties. But we have tried to do the barrier properties on the monomaterial on the PP side. So basically, on the PP material itself, the high barrier metallized BOPP is what we are currently using as the sandwich layer, as well as this is giving the required requisite OTR and MVTR. We cannot actually, this is being worked out with another brand owner right now, and it is under trialing stages, but we have been actually getting encouraging results at our lab levels as far as the barrier properties are concerned. So there is a certain amount of work which is being done as far as hot pack is concerned, and majority, in fact, if you see the hot pack portfolio, we are highly into the polyethylene technology when it comes to flexible packaging. So our polyethylene requirement is pretty huge and it is increasing. So we are going through another round of expansion, and most of it is going to be on the polyethylene side. So it would be really interesting to actually work around with the brand owners, with the machine suppliers. Having said that, I mean, I am quite excited about what are the solutions that are there on the ground. But again, I mean, it is about how we have been actually making this material recyclable, but whether it is getting recycled or not is something which is a bit of an issue right now, considering even in the Middle East, I saw the figures which Sarah presented on the landfill figures, which are quite alarming. So there is a lot to be done. I mean, from all the stakeholders, which would include the machine suppliers, the converters, the raw material suppliers, as well as the brand owners, and of course the media. Yeah. Thanks. That's from my side.
Thank you, Dharmesh. So it's now Q&A time, and I'm going to be putting questions on to the panelists. I would like to start with a question for Bobst, which is, have you been able to test mechanical recyclability of Alox coated PE films? So Nick or Eric, one of you?
Yeah, I can comment. So it's something that we're in the process of doing at the moment. So this one barrier solution, we have carried out some regranulation, re-extrusion, looked at the properties of the film from an optics mechanical perspective with Alox. The work's not complete yet, but that process is currently ongoing.
All right, Nick. Now there's a question for Sarah. This is about all these solutions assume flexible packs can be recycled, like in UK and Australia, yet this is not the case in our region. And the main question is, when is it expected that such mono pouches will be properly sorted and recycled in our region?
Yeah, thank you, Vikram. I mean, I think this is the crux of the matter, right? Is that as much as the big multinationals, the FMCG guys want to have 100% of their packaging recyclable or compostable or reusable by 2025, if we don't have the ecosystem in place to recover that material, to have it properly segregated so that we get clean, high quality material, then all of the technologies, all of the investment in recycling and conversion doesn't really help. So I think the conversation that we've had now between the Circular Economy Council in the UAE as well as the National Center for Waste Management in Saudi gives us a clear indication that governments are looking at the circular economy not only as a solution in terms of the environment, but also as an economic opportunity. And I think that putting, as I mentioned in my first slide, if the ecosystem is in place through regulation, through all of the different process flows that have to be there, through this multi-sector stakeholder engagement, we will start to see that happening. I think the first essential barrier was the use of recyclate and food grade packaging, which is now enabled in the GCC based on the EU standard 282. And because of that, now you have a significant interest from the brand owners to engage with recyclers and converters for the use of, particularly in our instance in the UAE, rPET. So there's a big project ongoing between Veolia and some of the big brand owners on the use of rPET in bottle-to-bottle packaging material. And as we go forward, you will see that engagement and that momentum will come for the different types. So what we have an interest in right now, obviously PET is the low-hanging fruit, but then you have the HDPE for the non-food packaging. You have the flexibles, which is a major concern for big players like Mars and Nestle and Mondelez. So definitely there's a big drive from the brand owner's side to bring this whole ecosystem about. But you know, the regulation, I think, is coming into play now, and I think we see that very clearly with the discussion around extended producer responsibility in Saudi and in the UAE, which is now on the legislative table. And I think that once that starts to trigger the process, you'll have this economic value chain will be developed. I'm hoping then that you'll have the significant investments that are needed in the infrastructure and in the capacity and the technologies that we need for the region.
Thanks, Sarah. So you've answered two questions, because there was another question on regulations around recycled plastic content, which is direct food contact.
So that's a good question. I mean, I think the GSO standard was adopted in July of last year. That is based on the EU, the 282. What we're looking at now is to ensure that we also have the US FDA, because you know the EU standard, which has now just been repealed, I believe, but that standard required certification for EU-based companies, and what we needed was to look at certification for companies outside of the EU as well, which is where we had lobbied for the use of the US FDA as well in terms of certification. So that's been adopted. I think it's adopted by 4 countries in the GCC. To my knowledge, the first country, Egypt, adopted that some time ago. Egypt is already doing 100% recycled content for water bottles. So that is already in play. In Saudi, I know it's been in place since 2018, but because of the lack of ecosystem with the collection and recovery and all the rest of it, there's been no application of that, even though the standard is there to allow it. And the UAE has just recently adopted that GSO standard. So that is something that I think there's a major drive behind getting those standards in place and making sure that they can be applied locally. Because of course the local conditions are different to the European conditions. So, you know, they need specific safety and migration studies that are applicable to material that's recovered and collected here in the UAE under our environmental conditions. So that has been put in place by the brand owners. There's been a significant investment in that locally by the Actia Group as an example. So, you know, as those studies come to light and we're able to support the safety and migration that's required by the authorities, we will get more and more of those applications coming through. But at least for food grade now, we have a go on food grade through the 282. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. So the next question is for Konstantin. And this is about how many machines for MDO are there worldwide, and is there a possibility to run recycled material on MDO?
Thank you very much, Vikram. So as Florian told you, we have around about 100 lines in the market. There are some of them are for twist applications. By the way, it's also quite good product to use MDO for twist wrap PE. Some of them are for breathable applications for backsheet film, but the main part is for PE MDO film. I would say it's around about 70% of them are for PE MDO film. The second question about using PCR or post-industrial recycling, it's quite hard because if you look to the process window is quite small. So on one side, you need the perfect extrusion process without any gels, yeah, with low melt temperatures, and on the other side, on the MDO, you have a quite small process window. So at the moment, it's not state of the art.
I understand. I think the next one can be answered by Dow. This is about, have you conducted any LCA studies for these new flexible packaging materials that can confirm their improved environmental footprint? And if yes, could the results be shared? LCA would be life cycle analysis.
Let me take this question. Vikram. So basically all the stories that we work on, we have a support team who's working basically on an intensive LCA in order to make sure that we are meeting the recyclability definition. And definitely, if there is anyone who's interested in a specific story, just to understand whether we are done with the LCA assessment or not, we'll be more than glad to share the details. Definitely, those are going to be part also of the wider promotion activities that we will do for those stories in the future.
All right, Hussein. So with this, I'd like to bring the Q&A session to an end. And I would like to do a quick summary of the takeaways that we've had in the webinar today. I'll start with the presentation from Green Ethics, Sarah, where she brought us to speed on government regulations and the issues that are there today. So waste segregation at household level is not happening. The waste is ending up in landfills, so there needs to be an effort for diversion of this. Sorting and baling centers need to come up in order to provide a steady flow of feedstock. Recycling infrastructure needs to come into place so that we can have more and more recycled material available. Besides that, there needs to be innovation on the design side, so we need to be designing for recycling. And finally, there needs to be concerted effort from the governmental agencies for allowing PCR content via policies in flexible packaging and direct food contact packaging. After this, Sarah went on to present the roadmap for the Public-Private Partnership Circle Coalition, which plans to launch a circular packaging association for GCC countries and creation of an EPR framework. The core impediments at the moment are insufficient source segregation, inadequate infrastructure for sorting and recycling, and a lack of domestic demand for recycled content. A statistic in Sarah's presentation which caught my attention was that per capita waste generation in the UAE is 68% higher than global averages. And yet 90% of the plastic ends up in landfills. So this is just alarming and just highlights how large this opportunity is for recycling within the region. Following this, we had a presentation from Dow on driving circularity with a lower carbon footprint, which was the key message that was coming out. And Margaret and Hussein summarized where we stand globally on closing the loop. Design for recyclability is becoming a commercial reality. Mechanical recycling is transforming the value chain. Advanced recycling is catching pace. And bio-based diversification continues to expand and grow. In terms of design for recycling, starts with film design, then print protection, barrier substitution where necessary with barrier compatibilization. They also dissected the layers of packaging and helped us understand how Dow formulations can help with effectively help us effectively transition from the traditional films such as PET or MET-PET into more sustainable monomaterials. So the MDO printed webs, the MDO metallized and coated barrier webs, sealant films with special performances such as low temperature sealing, and more recently also MDO sealant films. Dow also touched upon the various resins that are available, such as Innate, which helps to attain a balance between toughness and stiffness. Elite offers enhanced stiffness and thermal stability. Retain permits barrier compatibilization, allowing resins such as EVOH to run and yet be recycled. And Binel, which is a range of functionalized polymers which allows materials with distinct polarities to be run together. Following this, we had a very interesting presentation from Alpine, which Hosokawa Alpine, which has a three-pronged approach to machine building with the TRIO system for 50% trim waste reduction in process and optimization of flatness. The Alpine vacuum technology, patented vacuum technology, which reduces neck-in and optimizes flatness again. And the 4-step flexi gap, which further supports neck-in reduction. The machine is capable of processing both blocked films, which are high thickness symmetric films, as well as more cost-effective double flat asymmetric films in widths ranging from 1.6 to 3 meters, and with stepless orientation ratios between 1.01 to 1:10. Finally, the machine can be used for inline, offline MDO and also permits for the MDO station to be bypassed altogether. With the film extruded to perfection, Bobst shared on how it puts all of this together into a composite laminate for high and ultra high barrier monomaterial laminates and high barrier paper-based flex structures. Bobst also demonstrated how, by a partnership approach, they've been able to achieve a lot of momentum around recyclability with a partnership with C-Flex for RPP, with TIPA, a partnership for home compostable PLA. And they also highlighted the commitments from several converters, leading converters and brand owners, such as Nestle, which wants to go 100% recyclable and or reusable by 2025, with a 1/3 reduction in virgin plastic. Amcor, which commits to full recyclability by 2025, and other brand owners like Marks and Spencer and their commitments. Following this, Bobst also shared with us viable alternative structures such as alox-based structure, which can be a MET-PET replacement, and ultra high barrier structure for foil replacement with Alubond technologies, which can achieve equivalent results without the need for any of those traditional films which interfere with recyclability. The key points at the end of this are that, you know, the brand owners are looking for tools to make to achieve similar results in terms of barrier of oxygen and water vapor, and at the same time bond as well. And you know, at the same time, there has to be no marked difference in between user experience and aesthetics of the package. So we still need the vibrancy of the current structures such as PET, but at the same time, we need it to be more environmentally friendly and recyclable in monomaterial format. And there are challenges around this with PE, but with a consolidated effort from all of the stakeholders, we're starting to close the gap with materials which are which can offer dimensional stability, allowing them to run through metallizers, as well as extrusion equipment and technological developments on extrusion equipment that can help us to achieve better performance and clarity and stability of films. So with this, I have completed my summary, and I would like to thank all the panelists for sharing their knowledge and experience with the audience, and I would like to pass it over to Ben.
Thank you very much, Vikram, and thank you all the speakers and panelists who really shared your thoughts and your insights into this wonderful webinar. At this point, I would like to thank all our